And we're back. The circus is back in town. Not us, although we are back. Talking about Trump's back. George Carlin has a really old line. He used to say, when you're born, you get a ticket to the circus. But if you're born in America, you get front row seats to the circus. Now, that's exactly what we're seeing. I wasn't going to launch straight into it, but Nate, how are you? What was
fantastic.
your takeaways from Election Day? Pretty sure when we were talked last, which was a while ago, we were both in the camp that Kamala was going to win. So
I never doubted him.
No, you did. But just notch it up as another prediction that obviously we're not qualified to even predict. But notch it up as another one that I definitely got wrong. Got that one wrong.
I get things wrong every time. I get way more things wrong than right. And if I get something right, it's unusual. I never doubted him in the sense that I just like saying that about people. I just love saying I never doubted him when I doubted him a million times. But when I did doubt him, because I flip-flop back and forth a lot, I did say that I'm normally wrong. So when I said that I think Kamala's going to win.
Do you think one person just had more flips than flops then? Because I see three major flipping points of the election cycle that we just witnessed. One was the assassination attempt, the one where he actually got clipped in the ear.
Big flop. One.
Mm-hmm. No, that was a flip.
It was a flip.
And then the other flip on the Democratic side was Kamala Harris's debate performance, which was good. So I thought there was the second flip.
That's a flop for Trump. That's a flop. From Trump's perspective, if he flipped with the assassination, then
but then the flip back, would you say it was just Rogan's podcast and the other podcasts that he did leading into the election? What you're looking at with podcasts is free advertising, number one. You're talking to a very specific demographic, which is generally speaking young people, and they don't have a big media company behind them, meaning you can go on there and just talk about whatever you want and it's fine. Whereas if you were going to, he could have done interviews, and he probably did with, all the major news networks in the States leading into the election, NBC, CNN, Fox, all that shit. So this is just another sort of avenue for him to garner more attention and interest, I guess. And I think we did talk about how Kamala was offered the spot on the Rogan Experience, but he didn't like the rules that they sort of set out for it, which was it was going to be an hour long. It was going to be this, it was going to be that. And he was like, nah, it's not really what I do. So I don't know if he turned it down or whether or not they said, look, we just didn't come to an agreement. But we talked about that being a risk on both ends of the argument. Whether or not it's successful or not is irrelevant. It's still a risk to go on Rogan and to not go on Rogan leading into the election. So could she have done could she have had a better shot if she went on Rogan? We don't know. This is all bullshit at this point and pointless. But
it was a double flip in some ways, because you have the Elon flip and the Rogan flip. I think I sort of conflate those together a little bit with Elon parading around with Trump and encouraging everyone to get out and vote, getting on stage.
Weird little jumps, yeah.
Pushing his full support behind him.
Yeah, which always scares you a little bit, right?
Not really.
Well, no, but like, for example,
I always wonder what's in it for him.
For example, the other flip that the Democrats did is they pulled Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney into their camp and said, you don't like Trump, so come with us, kind of thing. And they did a few speaking gigs together with like Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney. Now, as someone who's like a big supporter of the left in general and a big hater of the Cheney family, that didn't do any good for me. Getting Dick on your side, getting the Cheneys over,
Dick Cheese,
didn't make me go, oh, they flipped him.
No, what
How
about
great's
Beyonce?
this? They're still
Eminem?
I don't care. I'm talking about Cheney. They're Republicans, and they still are, but they don't like Trump's Republican Party. They like the old Republican Party where, I don't know, George Bush was kicking about. Look, so they're not like Democrats. It's not like Cheney has come over and be like, I'm a Democrat now. She's just a Republican who hates Trump, which is, some of them do. A lot of them do. He's a very easy to hate kind of guy. But when they go, hey, everyone, I mean, who are they appealing to? The Republicans? They're going, hey, if you like the Cheneys, they're coming over to the Democrats. Or if you hate the Cheneys, you're like, pick anyone else. Pick anybody else, man.
I don't know George much about Bush the Cheneys. I've never heard Cheney so many times in a couple of minutes. Yeah.
So I was just saying,
the Cheneys got onto us.
I was just saying, pick anybody else.
Yeah.
To get George out. I know he's a great painter now. Get
anyone
him out
that's
there.
not a Cheney.
Just, I don't care. It was just really odd for me as someone who, likes to think they're on the progressive. Cheneys. Well, he's the scumbag who made lots of money out of like the wars. He's basically.
Didn't they all?
Well, no, they don't
he's
all.
Extra scumbag.
That's silly to say that they scumbag. All make money out of the war.
Of course, I don't think they all. Jesus Christ, Val. Of course. Mate, you are a little porcupine sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's well, things said with certainty,
Yeah, no. Hey, it's interesting. RFK, RFK was saying he thought podcasts were going to be the medium that determined this election. So when he went on Rogan maybe a year ago, he was flagging that he thought podcasts were going to be massive.
Yeah, because you can appeal to the young people.
Yeah.
And they're a huge demographic, obviously.
It's a relatively new technology as well. So he was talking about his, his uncle was, I guess.
What, JFK?
JFK, yeah. I think he got on, television was his, he used to go out there, he looked great.
Yeah, and if there was anyone saying at the time that, television's a fad and it's never going to decide an election, well, they were wrong. And so the internet also happened, and with it comes these new opportunities and avenues to push your message. So
what's going to be? What's the new technology? What's it going to be in?
It'll be straight brain to brain kind of stuff. Like that's your new internet. That's what's coming. Yeah,
that's painful.
Probably. Yeah.
Well, I'm just pleased because I am sick of hearing about the battleground states.
The almost 7 states that determine every US election.
It's like the Cheney situation all over again. For 2 days, all I heard was battleground states.
Well, because they're the only ones that matter. That's what their angle is.
Yeah.
Everything else doesn't matter. Sure,
yeah.
As a battleground, you're talking about like the fact that they're literally laying down gauntlets out there.
No, it's just that word was just all around me. It was just ubiquitous. And so as soon as the election was over, I was like, fuck, another 4 years, I don't have to hear the word battleground states.
It is a strange system over there with the way that they determine the election result in that, of course, they have the Electoral College, and a state like California carries a lot of votes because it has a lot of population. Now, this doesn't take into account who's voting. It just takes into account total pop, right? What I find fascinating about that is that your state could carry, say, 33 electoral votes, have a turnout of 20%, but still.
Well, one thing that is unbelievable that is not talked about with the Trump election is the fact that Biden survived his term.
You think that's amazing?
I think it's amazing because I said he wouldn't survive. He had a 15 to 20% chance of dying when he was elected.
Which is a 5% increase on what you usually get as a sitting president. It's 10% to die in office by assassination attempt. It goes up if you're just talking about other forms of death, other things that can happen to you.
This wasn't even including the potential assassination attempts. And why would you try when someone's a 20% chance of dying in office?
People have tried to assassinate the Pope, man. I've wondered the same thing. I mean, you're trying to get an old bloke. I don't get it.
He's only got 6 months left. But no, he's survived, and now we have a new oldest president. Well, Trump will be by the end of the term. So he has to run the gauntlet.
Is that right? I would say he's got an elevated chance.
Well, he hasn't had some kind of brain aneurysms that Biden had. He had some surgeries in 30 years ago. He had 2 full craniopathies, something like that, where they actually go inside your noggin. Yeah, had to go all the way in. That's he had some bleeding in his brain. I had 2 pretty serious brain surgeries, but presumably he's fine.
Oh, obviously.
Yeah,
I mean, even
97 now.
As like vice president, he's the oldest. He's the longest serving politician. I don't know, ever.
Yeah, I think it's like 50 plus years. Because he was the youngest senator, wasn't he?
He'd have some good ideas, wouldn't he?
He would have
been
had
around
plenty.
the traps. He knows the biz.
He's heard it all.
He's seen it all. Yeah.
He's probably watched all of The West Wing twice.
That's probably. Do you reckon that's a good idea or a bad idea? Probably fills you with too much idealism.
It couldn't hurt.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, Sorkin wrote that show like a genius. I have no idea how he even did that show. How did he get all that info? Did he just have advisors who were ex-White House workers who could give him the skinny? Because the way the characters bounce off each other, it just can't be a one-man show. It's too much work. There's too much dialogue. They talk all the time.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. You know, I compare that on one end of the spectrum, like The West Wing, to something like daytime soap operas, because I've been wanting lately to make daytime soap operas. The main reason behind me wanting to go down this path is that you don't have to write a lot of script. You just have to script in long stares at two characters.
Lots of brooding.
Brooding, yep. So you have a character brood at another character who's brooding back, but with a raised eyebrow. Cuts back to the other person, and they're sort of looking like they've got an inner monologue going, but we can't hear it. And then cut back. You've done like 10, 15 seconds of film. There's no words. It's brilliant. It's like a silent film. So I'm down with that. As a sort of lazy filmmaker, I'd be up for doing soap operas now.
Bit like Dragon Ball Z, where there can be a whole episode where Goku, whole season even, where Goku's just charging up an energy ball.
Yeah, that's the Spirit Bomb episode that you're talking about. And I remember when I was a kid walking past, I think my brothers like to watch cartoons in the morning, but I wasn't too much into the cartoons in the morning thing. I think I woke up probably a bit late, have to have my Weet-Bix, let's go. So the Dragon Ball Z, how I recall this as a child is that I would walk in every day for weeks. I'm talking like 3 weeks. And at the start of the 3 weeks, there was Goku, presumably, I don't know, and he's going, ah, ah, just yelling, just being obnoxious for a whole episode. And then I come back 3 weeks later and I've been checking in. He's still just standing there charging up this thing to kill Frieza, I think was the bad guy. It's this silver robot-y looking fella. And it gets to the end of the 3 weeks and he finally looks like he's going to launch it. But he'd been looking like he was going to launch it for the last week and a half minimum. Like it looked fully charged like a week ago. Anyway, he drops it on Frieza and you just think, wow, what a season of Dragon Ball Z that was. That was amazing.
Did he get him?
He didn't get him. Frieza gets straight up out of the smoke. Didn't even get him. Are you looking up some history of the Spirit Bomb here?
Well, I did type in because I didn't know it was called a Spirit Bomb.
I'd like to know the timeline.
What happened to Goku's Spirit Bomb is just what I asked it. So Goku's Spirit Bomb, or Genki Dama, has had an interesting journey across the Dragon Ball series.
Oh, so it's been more than once. Lots of people, I guess.
There's 3 of them, it looks like. Original Dragon Ball Z saga. The Spirit Bomb was Goku's powerful last resort technique.
Last resort, nukes.
Drawing energy from surrounding life forms to create a massive energy sphere.
And is that safe?
Bomb, well, it doesn't sound very safe. The Spirit Bomb didn't have a high success rate initially. For example, against Vegeta, it failed to finish the fight.
Sorry, Vegeta?
Vegeta, okay.
Okay, yeah. All right, cool. Just making sure.
He did not like vegetables. I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z, so it's Vegeta.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, it sounds right. It looks right. What did I say? Vegeta.
Yeah, I think you said Vegeta or something.
Vegeta.
Yeah,
it failed to finish the fight. And Goku had to rely on friends like Krillin and Gohan to help.
Right. So not powerful enough. Okay.
Then maybe it wasn't. Maybe he couldn't direct the energy. I don't know. During the battle with Frieza on Namek, Goku's Spirit Bomb seemed to succeed, but Frieza survived it, leaving Goku to eventually use his Super Saiyan form to win.
So it's a last resort. But if you need to go Super Saiyan, then yeah, you got to do that. So from what I can tell on the Wikipedia for spirit bombs is there's spirit bomb, which was, as you mentioned, used against Vegeta. There was the large spirit bomb, which was the one that he threw at Frieza and it didn't work. Says if you go down more, super spirit bomb. Holy shit, there's a bigger one and it is bigger. I'm looking at a picture of it. And then there's a universal spirit bomb.
Oh my
The universal
God.
spirit is used by gathering all the energy of the universe, including people.
Whoa.
The only time it's used is by Goku to defeat Omega Shenron, which I'm sorry if you were just up to that episode. Good news, it works. Bad news, I just spoiled it for you. But yeah, I think we're pretty safe now that we can harness the entire power of the universe and all its people to direct it at one opponent or one location. That's got to be a good thing. That's got to be a good thing.
Sounds like it's in need of regulation. Okay, so I've got here this arc. Okay, so the Bajin Buu saga. This arc marks the Spirit Bomb's most successful use. Goku collects energy from people all over the Earth. So it's just a minor. This is like a tactical nuke version. Goku collects energy from people all over Earth to create an enormous spirit bomb, which he then uses to finally defeat Kid Buu.
Oh, okay. So this is one that I'm not aware of.
This is one of the few times. Right. Yeah, this is just more of a localized Power of Earth type one, and this is one of the few times the spirit bomb achieves a complete victory. So it's not altogether useless.
No.
Okay,
what I'm trying to find out now is how long it took in sort of TV terms for the spirit bomb to begin.
Oh, how many episodes?
How many episodes was it? Because as I told you, in my mind, it was, weeks of seeing him just yelling for weeks.
Can you imagine if Trump just started charging up a spirit bomb?
Well, have you ever tried to use the Force?
We've all tried.
You ever just really concentrated and tried to move something? Yeah, I've tried.
I just thought maybe if you believe.
Yeah, well.
Maybe if you want it.
It's a very unscientific way to go about it, isn't it? Maybe if you believe just enough. Well, but maybe there is some science to this that we're missing out on. Science is magic when you don't understand it. So that would be it. I'm really struggling to find this out when this was. Okay, it's part of the Frieza saga. Goku versus Frieza. Blah blah blah. Having no choice, Goku prepares the spirit bomb in desperation. Blah 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 blah. No, it doesn't tell you how many episodes. It's just really a summary. I need like the full season sort of Wikipedia.
Can you imagine if Putin and Trump both start charging spirit bombs
go on.
At the same time? It would be guaranteed mutually assured destruction for sure.
Well, yeah, but that's what an election is. An election is gathering the energy from the people around you. If Trump got 51%,
getting
Harris
a mandate,
got 49%.
Getting a mandate through the will of the people.
Yeah, I mean, often at times it's irrelevant if you win the mandate. If you don't control the Senate, it's like, well done. You've entered a house of pain, and good luck getting any of your stuff done because we're going to want to pony trade all this stuff or whatever that term is. When that's like, yeah, we'll do that. If you want to vote this in, we'll do that. That's cool. So if you put this Child Care Act in, we'll support this or whatever it is. Horse trading, I think they call it. So. But he's not going into that sort of arrangement. I saw a good stat. It was a graph that showed like every major sort of what you'd call sort of international elections have gone in favor of a change of government in the past sort of year or so. And I think that's just something I guess that we're sort of sick of talking about, but it's cost of living crisis. It's everywhere. It's global. It's the hangover from the pandemic. We're all struggling. And so when you're struggling, you will look to the government and go, I was struggling before, I'm still struggling, you're out. right? And apparently it didn't matter like what political affiliation those parties were. They all suffered a change in leadership a change in government. And it's just people voting with their wallets, man.
That is the number one issue. When they poll people in Australia, the number one issue, it's an absolute standout, is cost of living is the concern. And that wasn't the case 3-4 years ago. The environment, the environment was briefly the number one thing affecting people 3 years ago. And that's fallen away to the fifth.
Sure.
The fifth most popular one.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
what could be 2, 3, and 4 then? In Australia?
I can get it for you. Yeah, I can get it for you. I can't recall. The only two I was focusing on is because I saw environment was actually number one 3 years ago. It's like 50.
Well, it makes sense, right? Like Greta Thunberg, there was a big push for environmentalism. Countries around the world started benefiting from green energy. Companies like, electric car companies started really coming on the market. So now, hey, like we're looking at the future. It's right there. Do you want it? Because it's better. And then we all went, nah, we just want to be able to afford cornflakes and bread at the supermarket.
Yeah, inflation's killing me.
Yeah, look.
And the inflation is caused by all the stimulus that the government gave after COVID, which people wanted. But now there's inflation, everyone's upset.
Well, they'd point to like supply chain disruption as well during the pandemic, which was definitely a thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
There was no tourism or anything like that. Not that we're big winners out of tourism. In fact, we probably lose money to tourism more than gain money in Australia.
I have a claim.
Would you say that? Yeah, go on. Australians would spend
so.
more
I'm
overseas
not sure.
than
I think
would
so.
spend
I
here?
think so. I reckon that'd be the case. I don't know, but I agree. I think that we're not going to have a change of government in Australia, despite the changes everywhere else. Coalition has gone, after the Trump election, Coalition has gone to the favourite. They're now $1.80 favourite to beat Labor at the next federal election, which will be in depends when they call it.
You think that's just like a knee-jerk betting reaction, though?
I think so. I think so Labor's going to hold on.
What you just think that? When is the election? Next year?
Yeah, I think Dutton's apparently he's more popular. He's more popular than Albanese right now on a PM preferred basis.
You'd say that's cost of living as well, man. Like people are doing it tough. There's more people around the centre who are going to go, all right, well, change it up. We don't have term limits in Australia, so if you don't like the guy and he's in for 12 years, which happens and happened, that can be quite weird. It actually shocked me to realise that my whole adult life was more or less under a conservative government, like more or less my whole adult life, which is nuts.
I reckon when we look back through the annals of history, I always say annals, but I think it's annal. Is it annal? I don't know.
I think annals is uncomfortable. It's just funnier.
I know that's right.
It's just funnier.
The annals of history. There'll be two politicians that will be studied like none other. Trump, despite how controversial he is, what he's done politically is amazing. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, this guy is Teflon, is he not?
He's also like the only guy who would have a joke directed at him and in response run for the president of the United States. Like, just because someone joked about you, I'm going to run for president because I'm not happy with that joke. That's pretty wild. I mean, that's a scary person to have in office, really, because like how flippant is this? I'm not a fan of anyone who claims to have a really busy job who also has time to go on Twitter and bag people out. I just don't understand those people or how they exist. So I'm like, man, if you're the president, like, I'm not saying stop tweeting. I'm just saying like, maybe just like rein it in a bit because you're the president now. Like, you are going to expect people to respect the office, right? If they don't respect the man, they have to respect the office. That goes both ways. Like, you got to respect the people who you serve. That's got to be paramount. It has to be.
Whatever he's done.
At least seem to be.
The people love it. The people love it. Whatever he's done. It's madness, isn't it?
It's like, yeah, I don't like what he says, but he's a straight shooter. Like, is that you know what I mean? It's very strange, very strange.
It's so weird.
Very
Trump
weird world.
And fucking McGowan. Mark McGowan was a fucking rock star.
Yeah, but he was more of a rock star than Trump in Perth anyway. Because he was elected in a landslide. Now they call that a landslide in America, but this was a proper landslide.
Do you know how many seats Liberals got in the Senate?
2.
3.
Yeah, 3. And what? No,
Liberals got 3 of 59.
Nationals
got 3 as well.
No, because the Nationals had enough in the most recent state election to lose the balance of power. As in, no, the Liberals lost the balance of power to run the coalition in WA. So they gave it to a Nationals leader because they had 3 seats and the Libs had 2 seats. So they went, well, you're kind of the leaders of the coalition in this state. We'll give it over.
Because what happened, it was 3-3, but they redistributed the seats. So like Labor won 53 to 53 of the 59 seats available. And then they did, and Liberal had 3 and Nationals had 3. And then they did a redistribution. I don't know, they moved the lines or whatever. And they actually took another one off the Libs. So they've gone backwards before even the election. They've gone back. So now the Labor's got 54 of the 59.
It's crazy. But it also makes sense because people always say this as well. It's a bit of an election trope, but people vote state elections left and federal elections go to like the more right-wing parties. And that was true for so many years. We had Labor premiers, but we had Liberal prime ministers. Is it good that there's a bit of like, if they were just libs and libs, maybe they just, not give a shit or something, or you wouldn't be able to get your voice heard because it's like, yeah, mate, we're sorting out federal shit over here. What's confusing for anyone who's not from Australia is all of our political terminology is weird. And it's the same in America. You got the Republican Party, right, who are on the right side of politics, and you've got the Democrats who are on the left side of politics. Now, arguably, they're both Democratic parties and they're both Republican parties in the sense that they both support not being part of something bigger, meaning like the colonies or whatever. They're their own country. So they're both Republican parties in America, and they're both Democrat parties in America. In Australia, if you were to say liberal in Australia, you're not talking about people who are
liberal policies,
socially liberal, economically liberal. You're talking about conservatives and not liberal in the sense of like, in the same way that a liberal is said in America. So in America, a liberal is someone who I guess is a bit more, how would you describe it? In America.
Conservative. Oh, in America.
Liberal means something completely different in America. It means more liberty, like
freedom of choice and
freedom. Yeah, more freedoms and less government, I guess.
Yes,
I don't know.
Yes, something like that.
So it's very confusing because it's complete reversal. Not only that, but in Australia, the left-wing parties are red and the rights are blue. So it's really confusing already. If you just rocked up, you wouldn't know what's going on.
I don't really follow Australian politics a great deal, but I have heard that traditionally the Liberal Party was more about big business and sort of the elites. But apparently there's been a switch where the Labor Party is actually arguably, in a way, they're quite centrist in a way. But I think some commentators say that the Labor Party is actually more about big business now. They've actually done a switch in traditionally what they.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. Purely based on policies, it's a. I don't think you can be a progressive government and also be friends with big business. I don't think those two go hand in hand. I would say that like during the pandemic, it was a left side sort of Labor government in Australia who effectively locked us in our state so that we couldn't transmit the virus. But realistically, and we've talked about it before, that was probably more to do with protecting mining companies so that you can keep them open, get all the shit out of the ground because we sell that shit. And if we don't sell it, all the hospitals stop working or something. Like that's kind of. But they didn't say that. They said it's all about public health. It's all about saving the people and all this sort of stuff. When realistically, it was probably cash. And I think the McGow actually has a pretty sweet gig at one of the big miners now. So he sort of left politics, went into the private sector, just sort of put some feelers out there, and all of a sudden just landed this insanely very profitable job. I'm guessing, like very, very good job. I don't know how he managed it. It's pretty amazing.
I do wonder what he does now. Okay, yeah,
he knows people. That's anyway. So
he was worn out though. He was worn out. That rock star could only shine. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it would have been a pretty rough few years to be the Premier. I mean, there were years gone by where people couldn't even tell you who the Premier was, but every single person in the state knew who the Premier was, loved him or hated him, sent him hate mail or kisses, and it would have been a really stressful gig there for a few years, and fuck, I'd be done too. I'd be cooked.
I know a girl that got a McGowan tattoo.
Yeah, okay, taking it pretty far there.
I was like, never in my wildest dreams did I think she was, late 20s, got a tattoo of a state premier. That is unheard of.
Strange.
Yeah.
So I did hear a fun one today. I'm just going to go briefly to this.
Please.
Okay, so there's a new movie coming out. It's called Wicked. And it's about the real story about the witches in The Wizard of Oz, and the real story about how the Green Witch.
The real story.
Real story. It's how the Green Witch kind of became the Green Witch or whatever. It's that kind of thing. Look, I haven't seen it. The point is there's a movie coming out, and along with the movie, they've released a series of toys from the Mattel company.
Of course.
The Mattel company have come up with some toys. So only problem is that on the packaging, where it should say the website for Mattel, they've only gone and put a porn link there.
They didn't.
They did. Okay, so how many desks does this have to cross? So someone fucks up in the designer team. It goes to someone to get approved. Someone said tick. Pass it off to their boss. They've said tick. They've sent that to the printers. The printers have said, are you sure you want 1 million of these things? They said yes. Tick. There's another tick. How many people are going to get fired in this chain of command?
Is it obviously a porn link though? Like, is it clearly? Yeah. Okay. So it's not like,
instead of where it would say www.mattel.com/Barbie, /Wicked, it said it was just a porn website.
Okay,
they've really fucked up here.
Is it just a porn website, or is it an actual video?
That's a good question. I think it's just the website. I think it's just the website. Someone's done Control-C, Control-V, and they've picked the wrong window, and then they've just it's gone through over so many desks. That's what kills me about this, is how many desks does this cross before you realize that someone's fucked up.
I've realized though, just through, being at work, I've realized there's certain things people don't check, and you got to get them right, because they don't check. They're not checking addresses. The partners aren't checking any ACNs of companies. They're like, I'm assuming you're going to get that right. So all these people that were checking off on this thing is just like, mate, it's the.
I know that's what's happened, but that's not good. Someone's got to take responsibility for this one.
It's almost inevitable as well. Enough products get released. How many millions and millions of times have we got it right? I'm actually surprised we haven't had a porn website appear.
Like this, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's happened a lot, but they're just the latest. And let me just find this out. Yeah, uproar over X-rated Wicked blunder. So Mattel apologizes after Wicked movie dolls mistakenly linked to pornography website on packaging. Toy company advises parents to discard the product packaging or obscure the link.
I'm starting to think it's intentional. I reckon this is like a
marketing campaign.
Yeah,
bit of a marketing
because we're talking about now Mattel, Barbie, well, not Barbie, Wicked, whatever it is. Yeah, they're doing great.
Numbers. Okay, Mattel was made aware of a misprint on the packaging. Okay, so where are they putting the blame? This will be interesting. This is their statement. Mattel was made aware of a misprint. Whoops. On the packaging of the Mattel Wicked collection dolls, primarily sold in the US, which intended to direct customers to the official wickedmovie.com landing page. We deeply regret this unfortunate error and are taking immediate action to remedy this. Parents are advised that the misprinted, incorrect website is not appropriate for children. Consumers who have the product are advised to discard the product packaging or obscure the link and may contact Mattel customer service for further information. Holy shit.
Maybe I can get some recommendations from them as to...
I mean, if they just put www.google.com, that person gets fired. It's not like they picked the wrong link. Whoops. They picked a very wrong link. Like the opposite of what is this the ethos of the company? Is this what Mattel's about? I don't know. Anyway,
I saw
I'm a big
an
fan
article.
of Mattel.
That's well, yeah. I mean, they brought out all the they brought out wheelchair Barbie.
Yeah, but Barbie, a bloody, who would have thought Barbie would be used for progressive change? It used to just be about body image and people hating themselves, and Barbies were all skinny blonde chicks. And then they realized that there was cash if you diversify.
There was
and
more
then
diversity.
They tried to say it's them.
In that Barbie lineup than the Artemis 3 mission.
And that
has even a non-American, if you can believe that, a non-american going to the moon. I came across something that was Canadian.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much American. Right. I came across a gingerbread man today, and it was vegan-free. It was very non-offensive. It was vegan-free, no nuts, a whole host of things that it did not contain. It had a compostable cover, so it was plastic made out of something that degrades, which I thought was great because I've never seen that. I was like, can't we just use this for all plastics now? Haven't we figured it out?
Yeah. And
I was joking that it's called a gingerbread man, and I was offended, but then I realized it was called a gingerbread folk.
Which is what?
They have covered specific. Exactly. They have covered the board. This is the least offensive treat I've ever come across in my life. I couldn't even find something to get upset about. I wish there was some more sugar in it. That was probably like I'm someone who wanted a bit more of a sugar kick from it.
Right.
And it actually tasted good.
Oh, well bloody ticks all around. Shining gold stars.
I'll tell you
10
what.
stars. Big ups for the gingerbread people.
We're rocketing towards Christmas as well. Oh my God.
Christmas?
I came across an article that...
You mean Jesus' birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming around again. So I came across an article, don't know how true it is, but saved it for the pod.
Okay.
You may have seen it.
Okay.
Sounds legit. Russia has fined Google more money than there is in the entire world.
Oh, okay. So they've just laid a sanction on them, and then Google just can't operate in Russia anymore?
Apparently outranks the world's entire gross domestic product. A Russian court
for a year? Just a year of the world's money. That's what they need.
No, all the money in the world. Not a year of the world's money, all the money in the world.
Yeah, but what did you say about GDP then?
A fine so large it outranks the world's. So, I mean, if you were going to pay it back, like, from, I guess, product. Anyway, let's just ignore that because I don't know how to explain that. That was the first line. Okay. A Russian court has ruled that Google must compensate for its block on 17 Russian state media channels broadcasting on YouTube to the tune of 2 undecillion rubles. That's 2 followed by 36 zeros, or US 20 decillion, which is 33 zeros.
So I'm only aware of so it goes billion, trillion, and then I'm pretty sure it's killion.
Okay, it's US. Okay, so in US dollars, it's 20 trillion dollars. In Australian dollars, I can't even.
I don't think
figure it out.
Yeah.
So the figure is higher. It's space number. It is. You have to go. Yeah, interplanetary on this one. The figure's higher than all the money in the entire world combined, which is estimated by the International Monetary Fund to be 110 trillion.
If they're claiming for like damages or lost income or something, how can they possibly charge that much? I mean, I mean, if they said a couple of mil ball, that'd be believable.
Yeah, this is the kangaroo court
20
that is
trillion,
Russia.
trillion. Well, I guess they're just...
it undermines their whole system.
I'm guessing there's penalties if they don't do it. Like they won't be able to be in Russia, I imagine.
Well, this is the funny thing. So if Google doesn't pay in 219 weeks, they would be owed one Google, which is one followed by
Google.
100 zeros. Yeah, so Google
would owe Google.
Yeah, and that was just one of the reasons that a Google. Do
you know why I know what Google is?
No.
Because it was the final question in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. The episode where the guy cheated and had the chick coughing in the audience. That was the final question. It was like something like, how many zeros are there in one Google? And it was some dumb number. And if you remember this was a big scandal at the time. He had to give the money back. That he went to jail for this shit.
That was the last question. That doesn't sound like a particularly difficult question, but maybe we all know about it because of his blunder.
This is just how I know about it. Because most people won't know what a Google is as a number. But it's a big number. Let's just say it's a big number. And if you remember this, what they would do is he organized to have someone in a car feeding messages to the person sitting in the chair who was then coughing when the correct answer was read by the player who's up there. So he'd go, and it's weird because there were multiple times during the night where he said, I don't think it's C. And she'd go, and he'd go, well, I guess it could be C. So when he says it's definitely not D, and she goes, he has to come around again to be able to lock in D for $1 million. So
that's the challenge.
That's the real...
To convince everyone.
He did really well. He got away with it for a little while. It's not like they went, you're nicked, and the bill walked in. None of that. None of that happened. It happened way later. So... yeah, I don't know. I'm not aware of any other cheating at game shows, which was so not just profitable, but well known. I mean, I've heard of things that I would say are not in the spirit of the game show. Like there was a guy in Survivor. His name was Johnny Fairplay. He told his brother, because they often at about maybe the 9 episode mark, they'll start bringing in the family to give him that push to the finish, to be like, look, here's your brother. And they go, yay. And they go, win this challenge. You go have lunch together. It'll be wicked. So they bring out the brother and he told him, if you get the chance to come see me, tell me that grandma's dead, just in case I need a help out there. Getting some sympathy from the rest of the players, because this is $1 million as well. They're both playing for $1 million. Survivor, there's nothing in the rules against lying to people in Survivor. So this is totally above board what he's doing. So he comes out and goes, I just have to tell you, man, that grandma's dead. And he said, no, dude, no. And then they hug it out. And he was on the chopping block. So this did give him the thing that he needed, the little edge that he needed. And then they cut to his interview and he's sitting on the beach and he's like, yeah, like my grandma's not dead, man. She's at home watching like Jerry Springer right now. She's fine. So cheating in game shows, it happens, but pretty rare.
And that seems like it's such an obvious way to cheat as well. I want something that's, laser beams, refracting off. I want like some Mission Impossible shit.
Well, like, for example, you've heard of those things. They'd live in your sock and it would just give you a little tap on the back of your, say, tendons, like your Achilles. It'll just give you a little tap there. It's like Morse code, right? How many Morse code things do you need for A, B, C, or D? I would have thought 4. So why the fuck was she wearing the device? Couldn't he just have been wearing the device? No coughing required.
No, it wouldn't work like that, man. You've thought about it too much. You've overthought it. You've got to keep it simple.
They probably search you, right? Do they search you before you go on there? Give you a full body cavity search or whatever to make sure you're not carrying any listening equipment or whatever? There's pretty sophisticated listening equipment out there these days.
Moist Critical? Did you listen to him talk about that Magnus Carlsen controversy?
Oh, the cheating controversy?
Yeah.
The chess one?
Yeah.
I love Magnus Carlsen videos.
Did they ever get to the bottom of, I don't know who the guy was that he was upset with, but he wouldn't play him anymore.
I'll be honest, man. I've watched people talk about that situation. I've watched videos about it. I still don't fucking understand how the cheating occurred.
No one knows. As far as I understand, that's what I was asking you.
No. How do you cheat at chess? How do you cheat at chess?
I've heard things like he may have had something up his arse that was vibrating, but of course people are going to say that because that's so sensational.
No. You might be conflating here because someone did do they were researching to see if they could cheat at a chess tournament.
Really?
And they did shove something up the guy's bum to give him the signals to tell him, what moves would be best. Because they essentially sent up an amateur to go and play against this guy. And it wasn't just boxing, it was chess boxing. It wasn't just chess, it was chess boxing, where they play chess for a little bit and they beat the shit out of each other for a little bit and then they play
combination,
chess.
Yeah.
Interesting combination. We thought basketball was a bit farcical when it first came out in like 2001 or whatever, where they start mixing sports, baseball and NFL. You hit the ball, then you get tackled at first base by a guy in full kit. But we're there. We've been there for ages. We've got basketball.
MMA is kind of just like
we've got phone booth boxing. Like we've moved beyond MMA.
MMA is just kind of like a more logical combination of sports. Where of course karate and taekwondo can fight together. Like that's just for a while that was ridiculous.
Yeah,
when MMA first came along.
I think when MMA first came along, it was a bit of a, you've played cricket before, you'll be good at baseball, come on over here. That was kind of like the mentality. It was like, you can kick people in the head, come over here. Like, it's fine. That's all you have to be able to do at this point. Yeah, jiu-jitsu, what's that? They hadn't heard of it till Horace Gracie started just killing everybody early. Oh my God, what a time.
Man, I keep little notes that almost like a running diary, an electronic diary of things that interest me.
Yeah, do you sometimes go back and not know what the fuck they are?
It's the diary of a madman.
Oh, I know. It's scribblings of a
insane.
Man who's lost his mind. Yes.
This is one of my thoughts. I've got a little section that's just thoughts.
Yep.
I don't even know if this is true.
Well,
a platypus sweats milk and they roll on their back to make it pool like a bowl in their tummy, which their baby then drinks from. Is that true? Someone told me that. Does a platypus sweat milk into its belly?
Well, that wouldn't be the most insane thing, would it? Is it?
Well, I was thinking a teat is what I'm used to with milk. All the milk I've ever come across has been teats.
Yeah, that's true.
Like cow teats, titty teats.
Yeah, but they're mammals, aren't they?
Yeah, and a platypus is like a weird thing. A trieme or something. I think a platypus is a trieme.
What the hell is that? What, just because you're in between a duck and a beaver, you get your own classification?
I think it's like the only mammal that can produce an egg. Something ridiculous. It does both. Ricky Gervais has the joke that a platypus is the only thing that can make its own custard because it can produce milk and eggs. So we need to get to the bottom of that. If there are any listeners that have made it this far, I should just ask ChatGPT. How does a platypus give its milk to its young? Here we go. It lacks nipples. I knew it. It's tittyless. Milk secreted through mammary gland ducts onto the skin or fur of the mother's abdomen. The milk then pools in grooves or small indentations under her skin from which the young platypus laps it up.
Interesting.
Oh, it's a monotreme, not a, what did I say? Trieme. Monotreme.
Oh, you're pretty close. It's just got one of them instead of three.
Which is a group of egg-laying mammals that also includes echidnas.
Oh, okay. So similar vein.
Monotremes have evolved this alternative to nipples as they have an ancient lineage that splits off from other mammals hundreds of millions of years ago. Oh, so echidnas and platypuses are sort of cousins, weird cousins. They got different hairstyles.
They don't make any sense. They don't know what they are. Do you know what the collective noun for platypuses are? For platypi?
I'm going to say platypi, but a collective noun. Sorry, I thought you were in the plural. Okay, collective noun. A bill of platypuses.
You're not far off. It's a paddle. A paddle. And an echidna, a collective noun for echidna, is a parade of echidnas. I think that's just because they're slow moving.
I like that. I'm surprised there's enough collective nouns for animals because there's so many animals. And Oh my God. So I was reading this thing about this dam that China's looking to build in a remote part of Tibet. And it's very controversial because it's ecologically, it's super, super remote. So remote that in this valley, they're finding new species of mammals still to this day. It's not like a new species of insect.
Right.
Or new species of mammals are pretty hard to come by.
We're just finding them.
They're just finding them. Well, that's one of the reasons people are saying, you can't build this mega dam, the biggest dam in this most remote part of the world where it's, there's engineering wise, this is why I was watching it. It's a mega engineering project.
Can they do that?
Oh,
as in Tibet? Can they do that?
They pretty much own Tibet. Like they are Tibet. Like Tibet's part of China as far as China's concerned.
Yep. Yeah,
and so this is one of the interesting things actually about that Tibetan plateau. It's nicknamed the Earth's third pole because of all its glaciers. Its average height above sea level is 4,500 meters. And the Tibetan plateau is massive. Like it's a big, big area. Very, very high. And it's also nicknamed the Water Tower of Asia because it's the source of most of Asia's water.
Interesting.
I was listening to this woman talk about the Tibetan plateau on YouTube. She said if you were an alien coming to Earth, the first thing you would do is take over the Tibetan plateau because you would control the water of half the world's population.
Okay.
That's fascinating considering what China's done to Tibet and the fact they control that.
Sure.
So this super dam that they're thinking about building in this remote part of Tibet will deliver 60 gigawatts of power, and China already has the biggest hydroelectric dam in the world that delivers 20. So in terms of scale, you can imagine the biggest hydroelectric dam in the world would be pretty significant.
Oh, yeah, of course.
This is 3 times that.
Yeah. They wouldn't go smaller, would you? You wouldn't go smaller. You go bigger. You have to.
But from an engineering point of view, they have to tunnel through a mountain, and it's just a nightmare.
It's got to be easier than before, though. I wouldn't like to have seen how the Hoover Dam went up. They're just pouring all that concrete. I think I'd rather do it today, even if we're building it 3 times the size.
The platypi.
Today. Yeah. No, they probably will. We'll just grab them, right? You got to grab them out first. That's probably most important.
And I've also got a bit of an upgrade on tardigrades, actually.
What, they've done something else, have they?
Yeah, those water bears. They've been doing more of the same, actually. But I think you just might be a little bit concerned because I didn't know that there was an Israel spacecraft called Bereshit, don't know when this was, that crash landed on the moon's surface. Apparently it spilled a few thousand tardigrades onto the moon's surface. On the moon. They're out and about.
Wow.
They are out and about. Wow. But apparently
the tardigrades beat us to the moon. To live on the moon. They did it. They got there first.
And they can survive ridiculous conditions. So we've put the animal that is best at surviving in impossible conditions.
That wasn't an accident.
We've released 1,000 of them on the moon.
Yeah.
There's a couple thousand of them.
The thing is, man, is that without our intervention, they're not going to do anything because once they get there, they're not happy tardigrades. They're shrivel up. They're shrivel up, sleepy tardigrades. Unless we come along and give them a little lamp, they're not doing anything. So they're not going to build a moon base before us, even if it takes us another 20 years.
If a meteorite carrying a significant amount of water and oxygen, don't know how that would happen, arrived on the moon, could give them some, they could spring back to life.
Well, if I was a inter solar system species, if we were cruising around colonizing other planets, sounds like the right idea, isn't it? Like you just, how we're talking about terraforming places, you terraform Mars, we can go live on Mars if we terraform it. It sounds easy. You just said it. Don't you just shoot a rock, put some water in the middle of it, put a shitload of water in the middle of it and just launch it?
I mean, let evolution take its course. I reckon just get some tardigrades. Just get some tardigrades. Just, spew them out as far as you can. Just crash some spacecrafts that have
How do they go in crashes? Because, that was the old classic thing that people used to talk about with nuclear weapons is like that cockroaches survive nuclear radiation. They'll survive nuclear radiation. That was always the thing that went around when I was a kid. But I always thought, but if you're in the blast radius, you'll get vaporized. Like, it's not like you're a cockroach, so you get to live. No. It's still pretty deadly out there for the first bit. So we're all talking about how tardigrades, they could exist on a meteor. They could exist they can be in an alive state in the vacuum of space. How do they go with crash landing into the moon at high speed? How do they go with that? Because that is the explosion.
Maybe a soft landing.
How much work are we putting in to make sure that our spacecrafts are not contaminated with, life forms of any kind, or some bread or something? Get a mold on the moon. All of a sudden, you got a moldy ass moon. We all know it's made of cheese, so get a bit of mold in there. It's fucked.
Well, we haven't brought anything back in terms of spacecrafts returning. We haven't really had much return. We had the Bennu asteroid. Which it took about 6 months before we actually opened up the sample.
Got some sand out of it.
Because we wanted to, I guess, make sure that there was nothing sinister in there. We have some fake moon rocks that we've brought back.
You've got some of them.
And we've been talking about a Mars return mission for ages, but it's too expensive now. They want to launch a spacecraft out there and it have some kind of rocket where it collects a sample, puts it in a mini rocket and fires the mini rocket back to Earth. Brilliant. Apparently, NASA's gone out to the public trying to figure out how it's going to do this for not billions and billions and billions of dollars.
Can you do it for less? Yeah, please.
And they can't. Apparently, China's closer. China's actually talking about doing a Mars return.
Bringing back some dirt from Mars. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars. And what do we get? Just some dirt from another planet. Now,
man, you get the political cred, man. You get to tell America you couldn't do this. We did it.
Oh no, absolutely. From the geopolitical point of view, I 100% see it as being a thing. But in terms of like real outcomes, like imagine going out to your public who are having a really hard time with social issues and economic issues and all sorts of other issues. And you stand out in front of them and you go, well, everybody, I just wanted to let you know that we did it. We brought back some dirt from another planet. It's very exciting. And then we go, yeah, but, bread's still, too expensive.
I know what you're saying.
In the car.
The exact thing you're saying is the moon mission. Like exactly what you said.
Yeah, totally.
There was no scientific reason for us going to the moon. When I say no scientific reason, of course there was, but it was a minor part of it. Very minor.
Are we dealing with a very already apathetic political public if the government can come out and say, hey, just letting you know, we can probably fix all the problems. Just letting you know that straight off the bat. We can probably fix it. Or what about the moon? Have you ever thought about how cool it would be to go to the moon?
Have some rocks on the moon.
I'm not going to lie. It is pretty fucking cool. Like there's no cooler mission that exists than interplanetary or space travel in general. There's nothing more exciting. You can't tell me that there's anything more exciting than that. But I have no idea how the public just went, yeah, cool. Just make sure the football game's on Saturday, make sure all that's happening and we're cool. Do that.
You know what you do? You get the best of both worlds.
Go on.
You fake the moon landing. So you pretend you go.
Brilliant. Geopolitical means sorted. Like we've satisfied that criteria. Yep.
Keep the money.
Spend
that on military equipment.
Uh-huh. You will need military equipment because the whole point of the space race was to prove that you had some sort of military edge. If you faked the moon landings, then all of a sudden you almost got a fake military as well, like fake an improved military. Go like, oh no, these are these are really good over here. Like, this is pretty fucking epic stuff over here.
There is a chance that the US's military is just all blow up and
paper mache.
Yeah, paper mache and, fake. There is a chance. It's slim.
It's slim, but all of the UFOs in Bob Lazar's laboratory, they're probably all paper mache as well. Like, we probably don't even have that. All the outlandish shit, we probably don't even have that. So it's not a good spot. We just know that tardigrades are the real.
These tardigrades are the real aliens. They are the real aliens. There was a Russian spacecraft that they let 3,000 of them live on the outside in the vacuum of space, and 60 for 10 days.
I like how they say let them live, like they wanted to do it. Like, oh yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you can do it if you want.
They exposed them to the vacuum of space for 10 days.
And how'd they go?
68% of them survived.
Wow, that's amazing. And the other, so was there a bit of infighting?
Think about how ridiculous that is, though. Think about how fucking ridiculous that is. This animal that has evolved, on Earth, like as we all have, presumably, like maybe this could have come. Not. If anything is going to come from outer space, it is this guy.
I can't 100% agree with that
because he literally lives in the vacuum of space.
They can do it, yeah. Nothing else can. Imagine if you found out just like it's tardigrades and koala bears. They're the two things that can survive the vacuum of space. You'd be pretty like, well, how did that happen? Did the tardigrades rock up on the same asteroid as the koala bears?
This article
that's a way better thing than drop bears, though. Like, it's a way better reputation to be like koala. From space. Yeah, that's way better.
A koala that can go into cryptobiosis.
Mm-hmm.
So these tardigrades, after returning from space, they regained their former vigor within just 30 minutes of being hydrated.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Imagine, like, I can't wake up out of just like a night of sleep in 30 minutes and actually have retained my vigor.
Yeah, got your vigor back.
My former vigor of yesterday does not return within 30 minutes.
Does it give you 3-body problem vibes? Like, they're kind of tardigrade-y, isn't it? Like, they put them in the water and bang, they're just back.
You're right. I wonder if there was some kind of inspiration there.
It's exactly the same. They shrivel up when they have no hydration and when it's too hot. So when the conditions aren't conducive with their survival, they'll shrivel up. And then when conditions return to acceptable levels, then they'll rehydrate, that's how they call it. Yeah, rehydrating.
There's going to be a season 2 of 3-Body Problem.
Can't wait. Yeah, can't wait. Okay. Really excited.
Do you know what I started
season 2
today?
Of just Arcane came out. Season 2 of Arcane's out.
Oh, I have to watch that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh,
so they've upgraded all the visuals in League in sort of preparation for Arcane coming out. So ARAM looks completely different now. It's all Arcane themed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very excited. Today I started watching, you won't even believe it, Westworld 2, Season 2.
Oh, yeah. So you watched Season 1 a while ago?
Ages ago.
You liked it?
I did like it. I really liked it.
Season 1's great.
And I've always I watched Season 1 before Season 2 came out.
Loved it.
And now I finally got access.
Fun idea. Yeah.
I thought it was really fun. I knew you'd love it. Yeah, it looks really good. I didn't realize there were 4 seasons of it.
Yeah.
That surprised me. And I know that apparently it stopped, that the story was supposed to continue, but the enthusiasm was lacking. It did not continue. So I think they had to can it after season 4 apparently, but it still had, they still intended to do something with it.
Yeah, who knows?
Do you know, how many seasons have you seen?
Probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, I've been told just to finish after 2, maybe 3 if you really want to go for it.
It's weird that you're even going to do it at all if that's what the direction you're under is like, oh, don't
Season 1 was fantastic. I don't need to see the whole thing. It's like Lost. I stopped watching Lost at season 2 and went on for a million seasons, and I wasn't upset that I saw season 1 of Lost. I
haven't seen it. I did watch the first season or 2 of Lost and really loved it. I heard that all the finale stuff, I heard it's actually worth it. So I don't know if you ever want to go back to that one, but that's going to be fucking hours of your life gone. So
I watched the Alt Shift X summary of season 1 of Westworld.
That'll do it. Yeah, you want a primer. If you're not going to watch the whole thing again and it's been years, you want a primer. I'll either watch heavy analysis of season 1 or I'll watch nothing short of a 25-minute summary of season 1 before I launch into anything. And some shows go previously on Westworld and they'll give you like a full season 1 breakdown.
I don't want that.
I don't want that either because that's not like anytime they're giving you a previously on, it's because they're going to be bringing these elements up, and I'd rather go in as blind as possible. And as blind as possible, doesn't mean I don't want to know what happened in season 1. I want to know what happened in season 1. It's just been years, so I need a bit of a primer.
It was a good primer, but I realized that I knew so little. I'm going to go as far as saying I only understood 30% of what the fuck happened in season 1.
That's fine.
It was so.
That's fine.
It was a long time ago that I saw it.
But no, that's why those alt shift X's are good, because, dude, you're not going to get everything when watching it in one viewing because you're not looking for everything.
And I forgot the chronology moves around a bunch. I forgot, you forget when you're just watching it. You don't know what's happening. You're just getting exposed to it the way that they intend to show it to you. And it has a feeling. It engenders a vibe. But I didn't know. I didn't analyze it like I didn't go back and watch it again.
Very fun show. I'd struggle to remember much of the beats, but I do remember I'm the kind of guy who will forgive a lot of things, especially if it's bad stuff. But plot holes in things like Westworld really gripe me, and they were trying to push this whole Groundhog Day thing where everyone's doing the same thing every day. It's like a routine. First of all, that's not very conducive with like a living, breathing world. You want to have people do different things every now and then because it keeps it realism for realist reasons, realism purposes. But I just found some of the interactions a bit too scripty for me. Maybe that was intended, but I never liked that. But yeah, no, I'm one to gripe on little things. So
no, it reminds me of Red Dead Redemption.
Definitely giving off those vibes. But that's what Red Dead Redemption feels like. It feels like you get to wander around Westworld.
Hey, there was only 6 seasons of Lost, it looks like.
No.
Well, I just asked for
They were 24 episode seasons, so that wouldn't surprise me.
I asked ChatGPT for a couple line summary of each season of the TV show Lost. So season 1, just to refresh your memory, the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815 crash land on a mysterious island. As they struggle to survive, they discover the island has strange properties, including a smoke monster, wild animals, and an abandoned hatch. Flashbacks reveal the stories of key characters.
Yeah.
I'll go straight to season 6.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Or do you want to pick? Yeah, do you want to pick one?
No. Just give me the middle.
Season.
Give me the middle.
Season 4. The survivors deal with the arrival of a freighter near the island, whose crew has a hidden agenda. Flash forwards reveal some survivors manage to escape, while island events lead the island being moved in time and space to evade the freighter's dangerous crew.
Amazing.
Whoa.
Amazing. So the island's actually like a character here. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. So you have flashbacks in season 1 and you got flash forwards. That'd get confusing. Season 6. This is the one you've been waiting for.
Because they do all this like character development where it's back them in the city and they're eating a steak and having a great time, presumably not knowing that their future that befalls them is actually quite grim. They'll have to live on this island for fuck knows how long.
Season 6, they might flash into the present.
Oh,
the survivors confront the island's mysteries and the man in black.
Oh.
An ancient entity seeking to escape.
Fucking
Whoa.
hell.
Flash sideways scenes show an alternate reality. The season culminates in a final showdown between good and evil, revealing the character's ultimate fates and the island's purpose.
Whoa.
Flash sideways. Come on. Come on.
We've done flashback. We've done flash forward. What can we do? Flash under? No, that doesn't sound good. Flash sideways. Multiverse shit. Like, what if I wore a red shirt that day instead of a green shirt? Multiverse. Whoa! I reckon all of the different versions of me in the multiverse are doing roughly the same thing right now. They're all the same.
One of them's just got like shorter hair.
Yeah. Have you seen Deadpool 3 yet?
No, I haven't.
Well worth a watch.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Is this in the movies? I don't go to the movies, but I'll consider going.
No, it's just out now on digital, I reckon. It'll be out somewhere soon. It'll be on Disney Plus in a month or so. and elsewhere if you're that sort of actor.
Season 2, the survivors open the hatch where they find a man.
You're flashing backwards and then sideways.
I'm flashing. Well,
and then
they could flash wherever they wanted, so I thought I'd.
Yeah, this was the most intriguing part for me as well. The hatch, like what's in the hatch? What's in the hatch? And then they open the hatch and they open a can of worms.
What did they find?
Well, it's like a control bunker for something called the Dharma Corporation. And they've got a logo for the Dharma Corporation, and I don't know, they're involved in research of the island or on the island. I don't know what else they were doing, but it all seems like sort of 1940s-esque kind of tech in there. It doesn't seem modern in there. It seems old.
Well, this says where they find a man named Desmond, and they learn they must push a button every 108 minutes to prevent an unknown catastrophe.
Yeah, so he's basically sitting on the nuke codes. He's waiting for the call from the president, but instead of actually doing a button press,
you have to cancel the nukes.
You have to cancel the nukes. Yeah, the nukes
it's like a smoke alarm. It's like the shitty version of a smoke alarm that constantly beeps. Yeah, that everything's okay. Yes. Right, and then when something goes wrong, it turns the alarm off.
So Desmond's been sitting down there pressing a button every 108 minutes or something. For
he was probably like, "Thank fuck, I've got some other people to help me out with this one." Trying to avert an unknown catastrophe.
I mean, is that something you would just hand off to somebody when you first know them? Probably not. I mean, you don't give someone you just met the nuke codes.
They encounter the Others, a mysterious group of people already on the island, escalating tension and conflict.
Yeah. Yeah, look, who knows? Who knows what the original thing was, the plan for that show was. But we got a hell of a lot of stuff because of it, mainly J.J. Abrams and Star Wars and shit. Speaking of Star Wars, there's a new season of Andor coming mid-next year, I think.
Really? So that's exciting. That's very exciting. To that.
I'm not too keen on him. We've talked about it before. I don't like Andor as a character. I never needed his backstory to give him that free pass to shoot that guy at the start of Rogue One, which he just does for no reason, it seemed at the time. But I think they're going to get all the way up to that in the show. So the show's set before Rogue One. I think they're going to get all the way up until sort of that moment. Because that whole show exists purely because people were like, why is this character good? Like the first time I see him, he just shoots a guy in cold blood. But this guy's a good guy? Gotcha. And one of the reasons that they maybe is like, it's a little bit of a callback because the first time you meet Han Solo, he shoots a guy in cold blood at a table. So, well, not in cold blood. The guy's there to collect him or his ransom or get money off him or he'll take his head kind of thing. So he's a bounty hunter. So it's sort of Wild West because Star Wars was always regarded as a Western. They've sat down in the tavern. There's a disagreement and this disagreement has ended in one person losing their life. And it was always seen like, oh, what a charming scoundrel Han Solo is, not a murderer, like what Andor's getting. Andor just gets this murderer thing going. But that's only from people like me. Other people love Andor, love the show, and love him. And I just don't get it.
So maybe if I shoot someone in cold blood, what I'll tell the judge is I'm just about to undergo a sequence of revealing character moments and other things that will establish that I'm actually a good guy. That
things that have happened already?
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a flash sideways. I was thinking maybe a flash sideways. It could be an alternate reality. Maybe that's like I'm capable. Maybe I'm just sure I'm capable of being good.
Again, this is just me trying to meet a point of understanding his character. I want to understand why he would think that that's a good course of action. And how they're doing that is they're establishing, look, this is what he came through. This is the sort of situation. All the stuff in the prison, which was season 1, end of season 1, which was fantastic, by the way. Those final few episodes of season 1 of Andor are fucking top notch. It's proper cinema.
Yeah.
I just don't like the character, but I thought the episodes, especially Andy Serkis's role as the sort of prison enforcer boss man on site, epic. Just looks so good. And so what they're doing, the point of understanding I'm trying to reach is how a person becomes the man that he is, right? So, all of these situations, does it explain this? Meaning the murder of this poor dude who seemed like it was his friend. Blam, blam. Thank you, ma'am. Don't get it. It wouldn't be the first time.
Could you be convinced?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So even the prequels, right? All of the prequels of Star Wars, Phantom Menace, The Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, they pretty much spawned out of a line that Obi-Wan says, where he says like, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars. And everyone's just, what the fuck was that? And they went, all right, we'll tell you what happened in the Clone Wars, all right? Hey, fuck, you just got to wait 20 years, all right? And we did.
Maybe we just need a bit more of Trump's backstory to understand why he's done certain things.
I don't think we need more. I've seen enough. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, and I've said this in the past, like, because I don't agree with much of what he says, but I can understand why he's the person he is, because it probably wasn't all that easy being him growing up. I mean, people might say, oh, he's rich, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't make you a centered human being. If anything, it does the opposite. So understanding rather than, I don't know. Yeah, I can understand it. I don't want to. Yeah. I don't agree with it. I understand it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's complex, isn't it? Few things have gone into making up who we are.
What makes the man? Yeah.
I reckon Elon's going to have a pretty smooth run now. I reckon his Starship he's going to be getting FAA approval whenever he wants it now.
Well, apparently he's going to serve as some sort of White House advisor. Now, how does that work with conflict of interest and all that sort of jam? Because if you're president, you can't be the CEO of a company at the same time. So Trump, when he won in 2016, he had to hand off a lot of the responsibilities for his corporate dealings off to his, like, I don't know, children, I guess. Yeah. Not children, probably his kids. And I wouldn't have thought that would be the same with someone like Elon, but it does seem like a conflict of interest if you're involved in a department who's overseeing government spending and savings. How are you going to get your SpaceX shit through the needle, through the eye of the needle of affordability that is right now? How are you going to be like, yeah, look, we can do all these things and the spaceships?
Yeah, who knows? I reckon, he could just maybe not vote on things that he's directly, I don't know how the conflict will work. Maybe he could just go, look, SpaceX is going to run for the US government for free while I'm sort of as a White House advisor. We're just doing all this pro rata. And then after I'm done, we'll start charging you guys through the eye hole again. So what was didn't they change the laws not so long ago so senators could like hold shares? Because normally senators, when you're involved in politics, you know a lot of things. You're not supposed to be, again, you're just
profiting off it,
divesting. You just don't want to be seen. But apparently they've even got some kind of prohibition, or they can't be charged with certain things, which is just I need to find out what that is. Could be a next weeker.
Yeah, we could do that.
Just seeing obviously what I've got in my Diary of a Madman here. Diary of a Madman.
I have something that was I was told to write this down.
You were told?
I think it's a next week thing as well.
Who told you?
A friend of mine. Friend of mine.
A voice in your head.
No, a friend told me to look into something. It's called the Cheese Cave Conspiracy, which is like a US thing, where the government was subsidizing the purchase of cheese and then just chucking it in caves.
That sounds amazing.
And if you look out for it, all right, let's just go there. All right, hang on a sec. So, okay,
I have so many questions.
There's two websites. Okay, we're going to go to both of them because they both seem like they're giving opposing points of view here. So we're going to read both of them. Okay.
I hope it was a blue cheese or a cheddar. I like those cheeses.
Yeah, well, no, I think it's just, I actually don't know. It doesn't say. Okay, here we go.
I'm ready.
Cheese caves and food surpluses. Why the US government currently stores 1.4 billion pounds of cheese. All right. Hundreds of feet below the ground in Missouri, there are hundreds of thousands of pounds of American cheese deep in converted limestone mines, kept perfectly at 36 degrees Fahrenheit, store stockpiles of government-owned cheese comprising the country's 1.4 billion pounds of surplus cheese.
Excellent.
Right. It does say it's a long story, but we're gonna power through it. In response to this dairy shortage, I think it was around the 1970s, and 30% inflation on dairy products, the government intervened, resulting in prices falling drastically. So in 1977, then President Jimmy Carter decided to pour money into the dairy industry to motivate production and alleviate the crisis. The government set a new policy to subsidize dairy, providing $2 billion to the industry over the next 4 years. While this plan was welcome to dairy farmers, it also primed them for overproduction. So by the early 1980s, the government owned over 500 million pounds of cheese. The reason the dairy product was converted to cheese was because it had a longer shelf life than other dairy products, as the government searched for solutions to the problem it had created. So
when was Jimmy Carter around? What we talked
70s? Yeah.
Okay, 80s, I wonder. I mean, 77. How long does cheese last in a cave?
I don't know.
You'd have a serious rat problem, wouldn't you?
Mice. Yeah,
Mice.
They love cheese. This isn't really what I was looking for. Here we go. Okay. They keep 100. Blah, blah, blah. The United States cheese hoard began in the 1970s. Blah blah blah. Decided to pour money. The first solution for this excess of cheese was to package it into cheese blocks for distribution. These cheese blocks were called government cheese, and the Reagan administration distributed 60 million 5-pound blocks of cheese for people to pick up at food banks and community centers. This was a temporary solution, but it did not last. So the idea is that they were like, we need cheese. So they propped up the cheese industry, and then they went, we're still subsidizing cheese, even though we've completely
forgot to turn off the subsidy. Now everyone's invested in cheese production. They're too embarrassed to go back on it.
Okay. By 2019, the government found itself storing cheese blocks in numbers greater than ever seen before. The United States now possessed 1.4 billion pounds of cheese, and they needed a place to store it. They decided on converting limestone mines in Missouri to store the cheese. However, interesting thing is to us, it actually reveals a larger problem in the United States. The government is sustaining an industry that is clearly not growing on its own. In fact, Americans are consuming just over half the amount of dairy they were 30 years ago. So it's an oversupply in a market that doesn't need it, and they just have no solution. So they're chucking it in cheese caves.
They seem to like their cheese. You got the cheese pizza. Macaulay Culkin was in on the government cheese scandal because he was trying to encourage youth to put cheese on their pizzas. He was clearly a government operative. It's quite obvious. And wasn't he involved in that? Wasn't Macaulay? We talked about this on a previous episode. He's involved in that pizza band before Pizzagate. Was he not?
Well, Pizzagate, I don't know if you know this, but I don't think that's a widely held view. He was in a pizza band.
Oh, called the Pizza Underground.
The Pizza Underground.
Yeah, until 2014.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying, and I'm the conspiratorial guy here. But pizza, like everybody loves pizza.
No, I'm saying he's in the cheese cave conspiracy. He's trying to promote the consumption of cheese. He's a government operative. Pizza? No, because there's so much cheese.
Right. He's trying to get the cheese out
He's trying to get the cheese out there is what I'm saying.
So he's going, you can eat deep pan crusted with cheese on it. Like, it's great.
Yeah, we've got all this cheese that we need to use up now. We don't want to embarrass the government.
So sorry. I think you should rephrase a bit. You think the government called Macaulay and said, hey, we'd really appreciate it if you could push some cheese onto the people.
Yeah, onto these unsuspecting public.
It worked because cheese has never been more popular than it was in the 90s, apparently, because 30% now, people eating 30% of the dairy they used to be. So he was successful. They had no one take over the cheese mantle. They had no one take over. Macaulay disappeared. I mean, he's back now. I hear he's been cast in season 2 of the TV series Fallout as a recurring role. So people are very excited about that. He's back. So maybe the cheese will come back and we'll start dipping into that 1.3 billion pounds of cheese with the help of the cheese man.
Just wondering what else you can do with cheese. I mean, they need a lot of crackers. I mean, maybe they've got a cracker shortage. We should get into the cracker game.
Maybe they'll subsidise it. Yeah. Subsidise cracker production.
Yeah, that's it's like, okay, so when Mary ate the fly, right?
I don't know what you're talking about now.
Then you eat the spider to eat the fly. You know that there's fable where then like you eat the like cat to eat the spider or whatever it is.
Okay.
Right. So what you need to do is you need to fix the problem somehow. You've got a lot of cheese. You either need some really big mice.
I hear that New York has really big, scary mice.
Rats.
Just tell them where the cheese is.
Yeah, get in those Missouri caves. Get in the cheese vault. Wonder who's up to this. I mean, some people stockpile gold.
Yeah.
Others, cheese.
Yeah. If I was picking a food, I'd probably pick honey. I hear honey does never go off, right? Is that true? Honey doesn't have an expiration date?
Yeah, why not?
No, because they found some in ancient Egyptian like jars and shit, and they're like, yeah, just put it on your toast. It's good to go.
That sounds pretty legit. I actually have something. Delightful. I have something as well before. Buzz Aldrin endorsed Trump for president, by the way, before the election. Yeah, so
yeah, right.
You know,
the last surviving guy to walk on the moon of the first batch.
Of the first batch. I can't.
He was fine. He went through the Van Allen belt.
Yeah, he's like 80.
He's fine.
He's older than Trump.
Oh,
I mean,
dude walked on the moon.
Oh, I had something for you, but it's gone. I can't remember what it was.
Oh man.
It's about Artemis 3. I was talking about the diversity launch. So it is, I was looking, I just thought I'd Google it the other day because I was like, have they actually come out? Because they hadn't actually specified how many in-orbit refuelings, how many launches they'll have to do of fuel into orbit.
Just to get the tanks out there, just to get them ready.
So on Wikipedia, it does say they're doing 14 plus launches of fuel into orbit. And they have to do the first ever in-orbit refueling to do this moon mission.
Right. So we're doing something brand new.
Two things.
Yeah.
Completely brand new.
Sure. But is it difficult? I mean, it sounds like a dumb question. You're refueling fuel tanks in orbit. It sounds difficult.
I believe it is. It's an extra. It's at least at a minimum an extra degree of complexity that is unnecessary.
Are we talking like humans going up there and pumping gas, or are we talking about some sort of automation system which is going to handle that?
I mean, even the fact that you have to. I don't know if you get a big tank up there, and then each launch you do, you sort of, drop.
Well, it's not a full tank like we've talked about before, right? There's sort of
whatever
like
you have
siphon
left.
all the gas off. Yeah. So is that a human process or is that a machine process? What do you think? Just thinking now, if it was happening right now, is that a human thing?
Well, I reckon it's going to be humans aided by machines.
Yeah,
I think humans are going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that
sounds fucking scary.
It's not going to be like a Bowser or Bauer. What is it?
Yeah,
Bowser. Bowser. But the only sort of...
They'll need to pump it, though. They'll need some forward momentum otherwise because you've got zero gravity, very little gravity. So...
Yeah. I mean...
aim it at the Earth.
The only thing that I'm giving them like benefit of the doubt in this sort of situation is the way they're going to the moon is different, and they're going to try and land at the South Pole for Artemis 3. So maybe you have to wash off way more speed or something, or the way that you're approaching the moon requires you to do some.
I mean, surely they've got a lander though. They're not popping the rocket down, are they? Are they popping the rocket down?
Apparently, one of the main uses of the fuel is actually decelerating the craft to
that
actually
makes sense.
So that's why you need a lot of fuel, is apparently deceleration.
Only if it's massive. I mean, if you had a lander, you still need a lot to decelerate, but because your mass is less. That's why they would probably accelerate. You'd orbit the moon and you'd send the lander down, and then you'd launch the lander back to the command module. That's what they used to do in the 60s anyway. And then you pick them up and they fuck off. So essentially you've got two blokes on the moon cruising around on golf carts. Meanwhile, old mate's just flying around the moon waiting for you guys to finish up your little fucking expedition so you can come back and head off together.
And I think they've made some progress on the spacesuits. They haven't been finalised, but Prada is designing them.
Oh, good. That's who you want. High fashion. That is the show this week. Thanks for joining us. We weren't back last week. We'll be back next week. Nate, thanks for joining us.
Cheers, Val.
See you then.